What if I told you that one of the most celebrated black leaders of the 20th century may have been involved in one of the most ambitious financial ventures in history, one that failed spectacularly, left thousands of investors disappointed, and still sparks debate today? Well, this is the story of Marcus Garvey and the Black Star Line, a dream of freedom, pride, and economic independence for black people that ultimately collapsed. Now, in this video, we'll explore how Garvey collected millions in donations, bought ships that never operated as intended, and left behind a trail of questions. Where did the money go? Was Garvey himself exploited by dishonest sellers? And could a movement like this happen again in the modern world? Stay tuned. Now, at the heart of Garvey's movement was a bold idea: the Black Star Line, a shipping company owned and operated by black people for black people. Modeled in part after the famous White Star Line, Garvey envisioned a fleet that would connect black communities across the Caribbean, the United States, and Africa. For millions, this wasn't just a shipping company. It was hope. Hope of economic independence, of trading free from colonial middlemen, of traveling to Africa, the ancestral homeland, to build a new nation free from oppression. Garvey's charisma was unmatched. Through speeches and his newspaper, The Negro World, he convinced ordinary men and women to invest their pennies and dollars into the Black Star Line. In 1919, Garvey launched the company and sold shares at US $5 each, making it affordable to working class supporters. Within a short time, the UNIA raised close to US $800,000, an impressive figure for the era. The money came not from wealthy backers, but from ordinary people inspired by Garvey's dream of black-owned trade and travel. With donations pouring in, Garvey and his team purchased their first ship, the SS Yarmouth, later renamed the Frederick Douglass. The vessel was old, worn, and plagued with mechanical issues. Historians agree that Garvey and his associates overpaid for the ship, and some suggest he may have been exploited due to his lack of experience in maritime business. Other ships followed, however, including the Kanawha and the Shadyside. These vessels suffered operational failures, required constant repairs, and became financial burdens rather than profitable assets. While supporters viewed these setbacks as temporary obstacles, skeptics questioned whether Garvey's leadership was dangerously naive or whether the dream was ever realistic. Millions of dollars flowed into the Black Star Line through stock sales. On paper, funds were allocated to ship purchases, repairs, salaries, and promotional campaigns. But the company's accounting was poor, and transparency was limited. Critics argued that funds were mismanaged, while Garvey himself lived modestly compared to what people might expect from someone orchestrating a scam. By the mid-1920s, the Black Star Line collapsed, leaving thousands of small investors with little to show for their contributions. While some money went into the organization's operations, including rallies, newspapers, and administration, much of it was lost due to poor management and the high cost of failing ships. In 1923, Marcus Garvey was arrested and charged with mail fraud in connection to Black Star Line stock sales. Authorities alleged he knowingly misled investors about the company's assets and operations. Garvey maintained that the charges were politically motivated, designed to undermine his growing influence and the global black nationalist movement he led. While Garvey's business decisions were undeniably flawed, there is no evidence that he intended to defraud his supporters. Historians often conclude that a combination of mismanagement, inexperience, and possibly being exploited by ship sellers led to the collapse. Garvey served 2 years in prison and was deported to Jamaica in 1927. His dream of a black-owned shipping empire in ruins. Some historians argue that while Garvey failed his followers, he may also have been exploited. Maritime brokers and ship sellers were aware of his lack of experience and may have taken advantage of his desperation to establish his fleet. Ships were sold at inflated prices or in poor condition, leaving Garvey with vessels that could barely operate. So, was Garvey a scammer? Or was he a visionary who got caught in a cutthroat world of business and politics? The answer likely lies somewhere in between. We're not gonna know. Garvey's final years were marked by both physical and emotional decline. After his deportation to Jamaica, his influence diminished, and he eventually settled in London. In 1940, he suffered a series of debilitating strokes that left him partially paralyzed and in poor health. Tragically, he lived to see his own obituary published prematurely in a London newspaper, describing him as a has-been. Friends reported that the shock and humiliation may have worsened his condition. Now, it's important to note that although Garvey was heavily monitored by US authorities, particularly J. Edgar Hoover's Bureau of Investigation, and faced legal persecution, there is no evidence that he was assassinated. The CIA did not exist until 7 years after his death. Still, the relentless pressure, public ridicule, and legal battles likely contributed to his early death at the age of 52. Now, could a modern-day Garvey emerge and raise millions for a seemingly impossible dream? Surprisingly, yes. Today, online fundraising, cryptocurrency schemes, and viral investment campaigns have created environments where charismatic figures can gather large sums quickly. The difference is transparency. Today, financial records are easier to track, and media scrutiny is faster and wider. Yet, misinformation spreads rapidly, and the allure of once-in-a-lifetime opportunities still tempts millions to follow dreams that may never materialize. Marcus Garvey's Black Star Line remains one of history's most debated ventures. Was it a scam that defrauded thousands, or the noble failure of a visionary dreaming too big in a world stacked against him? The truth may never be fully known. What is undeniable, though, is that Garvey left a lasting legacy, a philosophy of black pride, self-determination, and empowerment that still resonates globally. His story is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the fine line between visionary ambition and the harsh realities of business, politics, and human ambition. And so the question lingers, was Garvey a scammer, or a prophet whose dream was sabotaged? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you find videos like these interesting or informative, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.